Good morning, everyone. This is Mrs. Taylor bringing you Math Lesson 18. Before we begin, I want to make sure that you have watched the Khan Academy video explaining how to find the area of a right angle triangle. If you haven't, please stop this video and go back and watch the video and then come back. All right. Today's learning target, you will learn how to find the area of a right triangle. You will need your math notebook and a pencil and your activity book. In your notebook, open up to an empty page and write the title, Area of a Triangle. And then draw the shape and label it the base as A. Okay, this is A, the base. And this is your height. And label that as B. Okay, and then you have your right angle in the corner here. So how do we find the area of a rectangle? So an area of a rectangle is base times height. And if we're using the letters, we say area equals A times B. That's how we find the area of a rectangle. This is the same rectangle with base A and height B with a right angle. I am now going to divide this rectangle from corner to corner using from here and going all the way across. Do that to yours. On your paper, draw another rectangle and then divide it in half, just like I did. Label it 1 and label it 2. What do you notice about triangle 1 and triangle 2? Did you say triangle 1 and triangle 2 are the same? They are identical. How can you show that triangle 1 and 2 are identical? You could cut out this rectangle and then cut along the blue line, right? And you would end up with 2 triangles. And you can do that if you want, but right now we're going to move on. So I'm going to demonstrate again using just a paper so you can see it. So remember, this is your base, which is A. This is your height, which is B. And here is your right angle. I can take a rectangle and cut it or divide it in half from corner to corner. What would happen? Why are these identical? If I take my line and I cut it right in half, I will end up with 2 triangles, okay? 2 triangles, and if I put it together, it will become a rectangle again, okay? So, rectangle, when I cut it apart, end up with 2 triangles. Remember, an area of a rectangle is base times height. So A equals B times H. So if you look at base here, your right angle here, and height. So base times height gives you the entire area of your rectangle. So now what would I do to find the area of a triangle? You know that from the previous segment that when we cut a rectangle in half, we get two triangles. Two triangles. So this is half of a rectangle. This is the other half of a rectangle. And because it's a right angle, they're identical. So what would be the formula to find the area of just one triangle and then a base of on the area of the other triangle? Here's a picture of two triangles. Remember how they were rectangles and we took them apart, right? They were two and then we split them up and now we have two. If you know a rectangle area is base times height, well, the first triangle would be half of that, and the other triangle would also be half of that. So a half plus a half equals one whole thing. So what would our formula to find the area of a triangle be? So think of the words half and think of base and height. The area of a right triangle would be 1/2 of base times height. And the other triangle is the same thing because it's a right angle triangle, half times base times height. That's your formula for finding the area of a triangle, because a triangle is the half of a rectangle. So remember, when you are finding the area of a triangle, you are taking half of a rectangle and you're still multiplying it by base times height. We can think of it, because we're using fractions, we can think of base over 1 and height over 1, which if I connect these lines, that would be the same thing as saying base times height divided by 2, because 2 times 1 equals 2. Now you have base times height divided by 2. All right, turn to page 397 and let's begin to put our formula to work. What is the area of the rectangle shown here? We know that in this box, this entire area is, here's the right angle, so it's 8 times 4, which equals 32, right, square centimeters. It says draw a diagonal line, so we're going to draw a diagonal line. Now we know that we have triangle 1 and triangle 2. And what is the area of each? Well, if I know that the entire thing, this rectangle, is 32, well, I know each triangle then has to be divided into 2, which means that it has to be 16. So you can write exactly what I wrote, or you can write down your own words. So remember, a triangle with a right angle, this square shown is called a right triangle. The area of any right triangle is half the area of a rectangle. That's why I just took the area of a rectangle and divided by 2, because I know that my formula is 1/2 times base times height. So let's work on a few of these. So remember, area of a right triangle is 1/2 times base times height, or we can write it this way, base times height divided by 2. So let's look at your first one. You know that it is base, so look for the right angle. Always look for the right angle so you can get your base. So that's 5 times 2, and you can divide that in half, which is equals 10 over 2, which equals 5. 5 square centimeters. Go ahead and do number 5. So you should say 14, and we're looking at the base here, so remember this is the same as this, so I can say 14 times 16 divided by 2. So 14 times 16 is 224 divided by 2 gives me 112 square inches. All right, go ahead and do number 7. This time you should be writing a right angle. Where is the right angle? If you said right here, you are correct. That's the right angle. So you should be multiplying 14 times 7, which gives you 196. And then remember, you have to divide it by 2, which gives you, let's see, 98 square feet. So I'm going to stop, and if you need more practice, go ahead and do the other ones. Okay, remind yourself that the area, so I'm on page 398. So go ahead and let's do number 10 together. And they're asking you to find the area of a rectangle and then the area of a triangle. So a rectangle area, remember, is just base times height. So 18 times 15 is the area. Let's see, 8. That equals 270. 270 square centimeters. Now all you have to do is take the half of your area of the whole rectangle. So that would be just like saying, because it's up here, remember, of one triangle is half times base times height. So I already know that base times height is already 270, so I can just divide it by 2. And so 270 divided by 2 would give me 135 square centimeters. Go ahead and do number 12 and 11. You can stop the video and do either one of those to give yourself more practice. Let's check your understanding. Explain why the formula A, area, equals 1/2 times base times height can be used to find the area of any right triangle. If you said a triangle, half a triangle is half of a rectangle, you are correct. Because this base, this times this height, if we divide it in half, would equal one of these. So that's a half. Let's test your formula with Puzzled Penguin. Can you solve this? Remember, you are looking for a right angle, the base times height. Looks like Penguin multiplied 1/2 times 13 times 5. Is he correct? If you answered no, you are correct. He did not find the correct answer to this because what he forgot was to look for the right angle. You need to find the base and the height of the right angle, which then would be 12 times 5, not 13. Okay, and so 12 times 5 is 60, and then you divide that by 2, which would give you 30 square centimeters. Always look for the right angle so you know which base to use. All right, now it's your turn to go practice more on the assignments that your teachers assign you. And remember, area of a right triangle is 1/2 times base times height, which is the same thing as saying base times height divided by 2. Good luck. You've got it.